Hey guys, what's going on? This is Drew Douglas in for day 16 of WordPress for Designers. I am back. I have to apologize for a little bit of the downtime. I'm sorry. If you have been following me on Twitter, I actually ended up getting in a jet ski accident a couple weeks back and messed up the right side of my ribs pretty bad. So I've just kind of been housebound here on a lot of different medication and haven't really just been up to doing much. So big thanks to Jeff for giving me some time off, and hopefully you guys will be pretty understanding. So I am sorry it took a while, but I'm still recovering just a bit. So anyway, that's why we've taken a short hiatus, and I'm fine. So I appreciate all of the nice wishes, and I've gotten a lot of really nice emails and Twitter messages and all kinds of stuff. So you guys are awesome. Thank you a lot for your support. And again, no worries. I'm just fine, just recovering. So and then on top of that, I had a birthday. Getting so old, big 22 here. So just been really kind of a crazy past 2-3 weeks. Anyway, you can see I'm ready to rock. I got my new Hanson wallpaper out. You should always need that inspiration. That's the #1 tip I give to everybody. When you're working with WordPress, get that Hanson wallpaper in there before you even install, because you just be amazed at how much I don't even know. Okay, so let's move on. Today I'm going to do something a little different. I know you guys really want to get the slider done, but to be completely honest with you, I just haven't had the chance to, since I've been kind of hurt, I haven't had the chance to kind of write the queries and the code, because the slider part, when we pull it out, when we pull our images without having to do anything, is going to be really kind of complicated. And I just really haven't had the time to look at it yet, but I wanted to get another episode done for you guys, because I know a lot of you are waiting. So I decided to just knock out a page real quick. And so we're going to just go through the entire services page today and just get done with it. And then that will leave me some more time to work on the slider. So I know a lot of you wanted to get to it, but I just need a little more time, guys. So I would appreciate it. So yeah, today we're going to work on the services section of page of our WordPress theme. There's a few questions we need to ask before we start coding this and get ready to start coding it, and we're going to do that now. One of them is, how are we going to get the services text separated from our paragraph text? Because as you guys know, when you go to the WordPress backend, there's not 5 different text areas, for you to write different content in. There's one main text area, excluding custom fields. There's one kind of main area to type all your content. So how are we going to get this content here and this content here? That's one of our questions. How are we going to attach images automatically to float to the left? And then how are we going to get our testimonial to show up and our services from the back end? What if we wanted to add a new testimonial and change this one? Luckily, our services sidebar will be pretty easy, because that shows up on almost every page, so most of that can just be hard-coded right into our page template. So that is what we are going to cover today, and we are going to jump straight into this. Okay, if you go to the back end of WordPress, hopefully you guys have all updated to WordPress 2.8. If you haven't, I really recommend it. There's some kind of pretty cool new features, and it just seems a lot more quick. The back end panel, I know, is a lot quicker. So if you go to services, you'll see that I've set up a service page, and click edit. We will see some dummy content here. Just have 2 little paragraphs set up. You'll see obviously the page title, and then the big thing that we're going to go through today, and that's going to really put this page together, is our custom fields. And if you haven't worked with custom fields before, don't worry, because it's really, really simple. I think we've discussed these in a couple of our other screencasts here, but we'll go ahead and we're going to discuss them again today, because this is kind of a vital part of our services page. You'll see the first one is named page_img, or page image, and it has a value, which is a URL linking to one of our images. If I copy and paste this and open it up, you can see it's our little web design image. So yeah, that's just the URL to the image we want. Our page underscore text is just some dummy text, and this is going to be our little services text right here. And our testimonial, which for some reason I capitalized, but it's nothing to worry about. Normally you want to stick with your same naming conventions, but anyway, we have a name of testimonial, and then just some also value of just some dummy text, and this will be for our little testimonial snippet. If you scroll down, you can see you can actually include HTML in here. Sometimes it just gets to a point where it's even we're using custom fields to help us out, but for little things like this, it's okay to just go ahead and hard code a paragraph and a strong tag. I mean, unless that really drives you crazy, I just think it's worth it to just go ahead and hard code it in there. There's no point in trying to figure out another way to get that little tiny snippet, or adding another custom field just for the John Doe part. So that's what we're doing. And in case you didn't know how to create them, all you would do to make all of these different fields would be to go to add new custom field, and then enter new. You would type in whatever name you had, and you would type in the value. And what's cool about custom fields is once you come back, let's say we wanted to make a new page with the same page text custom field, it will save them in your little select drop-down box here. So I could just choose from any of these and quickly add the value for them and be done with it. So keep in mind these 3 different custom fields we have set up, because these are what we're going to be working with today, that and some CSS. So if we go over to our services page on our WordPress theme, it's pretty ugly, and we are going to fix that. So let's go to Coda. Alright, first thing we're going to do is open up page.php. Now, page.php is our template file for our individual pages, meaning contact, services, about. All of those pages are going to be formatted and styled and all that stuff with the page.php template. So what we're going to do now is go ahead and open up some PHP tags right underneath the if statement for the loop. And we're going to set up 3 variables. First one is going to be page tagline. Now page tagline, we're going to pull out and store that little snippet of text that we have right up here from our custom field. So we're going to say page tagline equals get post meta, and get post meta is a custom WordPress method, and that is what's going to pull out the value of that, and it's going to take 3 arguments. The first one is going to be the post ID, so we're just going to say post ID, which tells it the current post that we're on. The second argument is going to be page text, which is the name of our custom field, and lastly just set it to true. Okay, we're going to set up 2 more. The next one is going to be page image, or page underscore img. Going to make another call to get post meta, and we're going to do the same thing. Post ID, this is going to be page underscore image, and true. Lastly is going to be testimonial equals get post meta, not get post meet, get post meta. Post ID, testimonial, and true. Okay, so now we've grabbed our 3 different custom fields and we've stored them in variables. So now we can access them anytime we need to in our page template here. So that's going to save us a lot of time. The next thing I'm going to do is kind of come down here and format some more things. And we're just going to get rid of, in the post div, we're going to get rid of the content and the WP link pages for now. So that will leave us the page title. So now what we need to do is we need to separate our little tagline area from everything else. So we're going to give this a div class of tagline. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to give it a page tagline. Be a little more descriptive there. And we'll come down here and close that div and indent. Okay, so now we've wrapped it in a little div class, so now we have a little more flexibility when it comes to styling and CSS. And now we're just going to come down here. We already have the title, the page title between H2 tags, which is fine. And in between some paragraph tags, we're just going to echo out some PHP. We're going to say echo page tagline. And that will be our tagline in between some paragraph tags. It's actually pretty simple. After that, we need to look at our Photoshop document. You'll remember that there's this little airplane here. So that's what we will be adding now. Whoops. We're just going to add an image tag. Okay, one thing I wanted to discuss because I got drilled for this earlier in the comments. Instead of hard-coding the path with the image tag, like WP content, themes, paper business, whatever, WordPress provides a predefined constant. I'm kind of having a mind blank here. I think it's, someone will have to correct me, I'm pretty sure it's template path. Just looks something like this. And that would obviously be in between PHP tags. And that would automatically find the path to your template so you wouldn't have to hard-code things. You could just put the image name or whatever. But the reason I'm hard-coding them is I tried doing that when I was preparing this, and if someone has an answer, you can help me out. But when I tried it on my local server running MAMP, the URL using template path wasn't correct. It would just come up with a broken image. It would go too far into my Apache or MAMP installation, and it would look too deep into the URL or something like that. Anyway, I couldn't get it to pull it out. So for now I'm going to hard code it, and we are going to discuss how you can use that template path constant later. So if someone has an answer for why I can't get the template path to pull out the right path on MAMP, then feel free to let me know. So let's do themes, paper business, style, images, plain, _ dark. Now you're probably asking, why is that plain called plain dark when the last one was called plain? Well, I didn't really realize this either, but if you look here at this airplane, you'll notice the little trailing dots here. They're actually, it's dark, it's gray. It's a lighter, or it's a darker gray. On our other one, on the home page, let's see here. Of course, got to give Photoshop a second. On the home page, the airplane is lower, and you'll see that it's actually white dot. I didn't catch that, so when I went to make this one, I obviously needed a new plane. So now we actually have two planes, and it's no big deal. Just wanted to explain that. Okay, so there's our little page tagline section, and believe it or not, that's all we need markup wise to get that little area showing here. So we're just going to kind of move along here, make some more space for what we got going, and we're going to do our sidebar, which is going to require a little more markup. Give it a div ID of page _ sidebar, and we'll close that div. Alright, next we're going to need to remember that we've pulled out the top, the middle, and the bottom of these little sidebar box things. And that's so we can get the little fold, we can get the middle that will repeat for as long as we need to with the content, and then we can see at the bottom here we have a little bit of, kind of crinkly paper effect. And we want to make sure that we keep that in there, because those little details are real nice. So what I'm going to do is add a little div class of sidebar top. I'm going to fill it with just a space, and that's that. And then I'm going to say another div class here. Now we need to mark up the middle. So sidebar middle, and inside of that we're going to have an unordered list, and we're just going to add some basic links like we have in our PSD. Like I said, we can go ahead and hard code this, considering that this will be showing up for almost every single one of our pages. it's just as easy as going from the back end, if you ask me, when it's going to stay pretty static. So I'm just going to add a few links here, and we'll just name them, something generic, or just follow the PSD, I guess. Web design, and I'll just copy and paste this to speed this process up. I'm sure you guys get pretty bored watching me mark up unordered lists by now. We'll do SEO for this one. And another link. How about one more for good luck? Okay. So there's the basic markup for the middle of our first sidebar. Then underneath the middle of that, we want to have our bottom. This is going to be div class sidebar bottom. Again, fill it with a space. You don't want to leave any divs completely empty, or else they might show up or might not show up in some browsers. I've learned that the hard way over the years. Okay, so there is our first the markup for our first little services snippet here. Oops. Except for the sidebar top actually doesn't need to be blank. Duh. Put an H2 tag there with services. We need the title of the services bar. Okay. Now that's the basic markup for the first one. The second one is going to be very, very similar. We're just going to come over here and try to keep this as organized as I can so I can see what I'm doing. Okay. We're going to do the same thing for our second one, except it's going to get a little different at the end. Div class of sidebar top. Some header tags with testimonials. Okay. Now we want to do the middle of our sidebar here. Sidebar middle. We're going to add another class here. Remember, with classes you can just separate them with the space and add as many as you want. And we're going to add one that says testimonial. And that way we'll be able to target this later if we need to with CSS. Okay, now instead of adding this markup, hard coding it like we did for our other sidebar, we're going to pull out our testimonials from the back end. So that way, if this was a theme for a client, they would just have to log into the page and they could change the testimonial from the back end. They wouldn't have to worry about opening up any of the code or anything like that. Okay, so we're going to open up some PHP tags and we are going to echo out testimonial, just like that. We're going to finish it off with a sidebar bottom class, and this one will have a space in it, like so. Okay, so that is the markup for our sidebars. Not too hard. We're just kind of making sure we put all of the necessary markup in place so we can go back with CSS and add all of it. Add things like the top and the middle and the bottom and stuff like that. So let's move on to the content. Okay, we'll come down here outside of the sidebar. Div ID page content sounds pretty descriptive to me. I gotta stop writing dov instead of div when I close my divs. Alright. Now the first thing we're going to do is we have that little image that floats to the left of our content. So what we'll do is we'll add an image class of align left, page image. So we're giving it two classes here. Align left is a class that comes with most WordPress themes, or at least all WordPress themes come with, well, I shouldn't say all. Most WordPress themes recommend coming with a set of predefined classes that the end user can use. We've talked about these before when we first went over when we first started talking about this series. But basically, if we go to the layout.css file, you'll see that these rather presentational classes are generated by WordPress, so it's useful to have some styles for them. So these are classes that WordPress automatically generates, and it's really nice to just put some very generic styles in them. So you see align center is, display block, margin 0 auto, align left floats the element left, align right floats it right. WP caption gives it, a nice little border and aligns it in the center with some padding and margins. Dirty little trick is a way to clear your floats, one of many ways to clear a float. And theme switcher is built for a theme switcher plugin, which we don't have to worry about. So that's what's up with that CSS. Anyway, we're giving it two classes, align left and page image, as we want to be able to have some CSS control over it. src is going to equal, and this is where we're going to do our little PHP. We'll say PHP echo, and we'll just say page image. Now obviously we're assuming that they will always be adding an image, and that's fine for this demonstration purposes. And give it an alt of whatever you want. If you wanted to get more advanced with this, you could add a cool little custom field for the alt text and put some alternate text right in there. For now, we're not going to worry about that, since we're just teaching you how to do this. After the image, we're going to say PHP the content, which I'm sure most of you know by now. This is how we display our content, and then we can just add something like, what do they always put? They put P class of serif. This is just a WordPress class again, and we'll just say, read the rest of this page. Alright. Okay, and there's our content all set up and nice. We'll go ahead and add in our link pages again. That's nice to have there. We don't want to leave those out of our themes. This will kind of link our different pages together so they can go to the next one. We'll say WP link pages. Inside of that we'll have an array. Okay. We'll have a before, and that will say something like this. I'm just taking this straight from the from how WordPress does it for default, because that's still a nice easy way to do it. And we'll say after. Close off our P tag. Lastly, we're going to say next underscore or number. Oops. And that will point to number. Alright, that looks right. Since we're doing some floating, we're going to add a BR class or a break of dirty little trick. We just went over that, so you should remember that's a way to clear your floats. Some people don't like adding markup just to clear their floats. Personally, I don't think one little line break really makes any difference in the world, so I prefer to do it that way. And lastly, we'll give it that little edit link just for when someone's logged in. Edit post link. Edit this entry, and we'll open it and close it with paragraph tags. Pretty basic stuff. Okay, looks good. Okay guys, I think that we have made all of the markup that we need to add into our page.php file here. So, are you ready to see the horror of what this looks like without any CSS whatsoever styling it? We'll go ahead and, it could be worse, I guess. You can see that we have, our services taglines getting pulled, our airplane underneath it, the start of our sidebar here, and our content with the image floated to the left, and some of our content. Yeah. So what we're going to do is get rid of this call of get sidebars. We're actually going to have, we have our own sidebar in our page already here. We're going to use that sidebar for something different, and you'll see what I mean in a couple episodes on from now. So we'll refresh that again. Okay, it looks pretty good. I must have two of those in there somewhere. Yep, I do. Just get rid of that one. Okay, there we go. So let's move on to the CSS now, guys. I'm not going to take a whole lot of time on this. I think a lot of you understand, the basics of CSS. So, I'll take it slow, but I'm not going to explain every tiny little thing, just the important ones. So what we'll do is scroll down here under front columns, and we're going to start a new section, as always, called page or single page. So we can keep track of our single page styles. Like so. Okay. Well, first thing we're going to handle is that page tagline class. If we go into our page.php, you'll remember our page tagline class is the one wrapping up that little tagline at the intro. So we'll say page tagline. Background is going to be transparent. The URL will be style images featured page bg.jpg. We do not want it to repeat, and we want it to scroll. We're going to give it some margins here to align it properly. A width of 839 pixels, a height of 220 pixels, again just really standard CSS we're setting up here. Color of 626262. Font size is going to be about 15 pixels. The line height is going to be about 21. And again, if you're wondering how I figure all this out, it's really just playing around with WordPress, guys, and just the CSS until you get it right. So I really recommend just taking a PSD or something sometime and then just coding it yourself and seeing how close you can get it, because that's the fastest way to get your skill up. So, and lastly, we give it that position of relative because we're going to need to position a few things that are in that class. Moving on. Page tagline header. Our H2 header that we have inside of our page tagline needs a color of hex code number 224E70. Needs a font size of about 27 pixels and some padding on the top, some on the bottom here, and some on the left. Okay. I mean, that don't think really that needs any explaining. We're going to do the paragraph tags within the page tagline class, which would just be, would just be the content right here. And we're just going to give that some padding and set its width. Give it some padding on the left here. Oops. And the width of that is not as much, so we're going to give it 700 pixels width. And we're going to go ahead and align that plain image we have going right now. Page tagline image, so any image within the page tagline class is going to get a position of absolute. I really love Coda's autofill feature here because it saves me some typing. And top is going to be -70 pixels, and the right is -55 pixels. Alright, quick refresher class for those still kind of new to CSS and whatnot. We have a page tagline class with a position of relative, right? So if we go over here, you can see that we have a page tagline class that encloses all these other elements. And the position of this tagline, this page tagline class, is relative. Now we also have a page tagline image that's absolute. If we look in here, we have an image or an image tag in here that is absolutely positioned relative to the page tagline. So pretty much we can put this wherever we want, the image wherever we want on the class of page tagline without having to worry about any browser inconsistencies or anything. It will show up on that exact pixel mark every time because we're using relative and absolute positioning to their advantage. We're positioning it absolutely relative to the page tagline. I'm sure that sounded a lot more confusing than it needed to be, but yeah, that's what we're doing. Now let's go ahead and save that and just see what that gives us. I'm kind of curious to see what that looks like anyway. Okay, so we'll come over here, we'll refresh, and there you go. You can see our services looks relatively nice. I think it looks great. Let's look at the PSD. I mean, I think that's pretty close. What do you guys think? I mean, maybe the plane could be moved down a little bit, but I'll leave that to the designers and you. See a quick typo here. Alrighty. Let's move on. Let's move on to the sidebar here. Yeah, we ready? No, we got a few more things to do till we move on to the sidebar, actually. Let's do the content. Okay, so you'll remember that we have a ID with the page content. I cannot spell today. Well, although I guess I can never spell. You guys know that. Width is 485. Font size is going to be a 12 pixels. And line height is going to be 23, so just about twice that. Twice that of the font size, I mean. There's our content. Page content, handle our links here. Man. One of these days I will learn how to spell content. Color is 6.5 BDFF. And that's that. The paragraphs we need to style. These would be any of the paragraphs in our actual content section. And these are just going to give some basic margins on the top and bottom. 20 pixels sounds good enough to me. Page image class. Remember that we have a page image class in here, right here inside of our page content. And that's the one that's floating left. And we want to give that some margins too, so it's not hugging the content, because that just is really ugly when it does that. Okay. I think that's good. So go ahead and save that, and we are going to move on to our, I'm going to say, page sidebar styles, because remember, we still haven't actually touched our actual sidebar page for good reason here, and we're going to discuss that next time, but you guys will see. So we'll do page sidebar. We're going to float that to the right of our content, set its width since we're floating it, and give it some basic colors. Again, 6.2, 6.2, 6.2. Moving right along, we want to get the sidebar top here and discuss this real quickly, actually. The sidebar top is going to be this little snippet right here. Right here at the top. Okay, Photoshop. Right, you guys get it. The little page fold is the sidebar top. So we need to get that set with a background image. So we'll say background, transparent, URL is equal to style, images, sidebar top, JPEG, do not repeat, and we're going to scroll and align it at the center and top. Width is 250 pixels, and the height is 76. Alright, the sidebar middle will be pretty easy to knock out here. It's just a background image. And we'll set the URL to Style, Images, Sidebar Middle. We actually want that to repeat on the y-axis. Scroll and align it to the center. Lastly, we have that sidebar bottom with the little kind of wrinkles at the bottom of that. Background is transparent. URL is, let's see, style, images, sidebar, bottom, JPEG, no repeat, scroll, center, bottom. So you can see we're aligning all these correctly together. Alright, let's tackle our header and our sidebar. You know, our little, so you guys know what I'm talking about. The little services section here and the little testimonial part here. So we'll say sidebar top H2 is going to be a different color, 224E70. I'll write all these different colors down, the different hex codes down for you guys, so you don't have to try to remember all of them. And we'll add some padding of 20 pixels on the top, 0 on the right, 0 on the bottom, and 20 on the left. That should be good. Now the most difficult part, not even really difficult, but most CSS full part that we need to finish here is just our unordered list that we have. And so we're going to do some kind of cool things here. So we'll do sidebar underscore middle unordered list, and we'll go ahead and say margin, just align it a little bit to the top here. Font size 15 pixels. Okay. Then we'll say sidebar middle unordered list item, and that is going to have a background image. And this is going to be kind of a neat little effect we'll pull off here. URL is going to be style images light arrow.jpg. No repeat, scroll, 12 pixels, 0 pixels, and that's just kind of aligning it some. Sidebar middle unordered list item with anchor tags inside of them. And now we're going to change the color to our famous 62, 62, 62. Display of block. Gonna give it some padding on the left, 30 pixels, margin on the left of 10 pixels, and a width of 200. Okay, so why are we setting the anchor tags to display block when we can do that with just the list item and it would already be displayed block? It's because good old IE doesn't properly support the use of the pseudo element hover except on anchor tags. Thanks a lot, IE. So we are going to kind of work around that a little bit. So next we're going to say sidebar middle under list item anchor hover, the hover pseudo class, and we're going to say the font weight bold, and the background is going to be different. Oops. And it'll be let's see, style images dark arrow. Sounds like a video game, doesn't it? Maybe it is a video game, I don't know. No repeat. scroll, 0 pixels, 0 pixels. Okay. Almost done, guys. Lastly, we have to take care of our testimonial CSS. That was a class of testimonial. Font size is 13 pixels. And this is where I'm sure you designers will rock. It took me a while to kind of realize that, well, maybe like a minute or two, but that is a serif font compared to the rest of the sans serif we kind of have going on. So I think that's Georgia. So we'll just do, font family Georgia, and then we'll fall back on serif, and that should be just fine. Font style is italic. And some basic padding on the left and right. Okay. And we're going to also style the paragraph tags inside of the testimonial with a little bit of padding on the top. All right. Let's save that. Trying to make sure I didn't miss anything or anything I wanted to explain. No, let's just check it out. Let's see what we got. All right, excellent, excellent, excellent. We have just knocked out our page, our services page. Let's compare it with our Photoshop document. I think it looks, I'm a little biased, but I think it looks nearly exactly similar. So yeah, I think it looks good. So today, we kind of covered how to knock out a single page doing just some basic markup in CSS. We covered custom fields and how to use them, how to pull them out, and display them, including images or certain text or things. So keep in mind when you're a really big help is when you're doing a WordPress theme and you're trying to figure out how do I have 3 different content sections here, and I only have one little text area, and I want this all to come from one place in the back end. How do I get this separated from this and this separated from this? How do I do all that? Well, you use custom fields if you have to. They're not always the right answer, but for short, paragraph snippets like that, and for images and image URLs and testimonials, that's exactly the kind of thing that custom fields were built for. So you can see on hover we have a nice little effect here with our arrows. Yeah, so again, we didn't cover the slider, but I will try to get to that for day 17. I just needed some time to recover. So I'll try to get to the slider on our next series. Questions, comments, suggestions, hate mail, whatever, guys. Make sure to send it to me if you have any questions at all, really. Last little thing here. I'd really appreciate it, and I know I ask this of all of you, but if you're enjoying this and you want to keep and help support us and help keep these coming, please just subscribe to the Themeforest RSS feed. It takes 2 seconds, and it really does help me and Jeff and all the employees here out. So if you guys would subscribe for me, I'd really appreciate it. Let me know what you want in these next coming series, and I will do my best to get them to you. Once again, thank you guys very much for all the very nice emails and birthday wishes and all the get well cards and stuff like that. That was really awesome. So hope you guys have a wonderful day. Happy coding to you, and I'll see you guys soon.